Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. Thank you for visiting us with us and being with us today, whatever platform you're at, and actually whatever time you're watching this. Thank you for being with us today. Today, I have a special guest all the way from the beautiful state of Maine. She is her title is a health minister. She is the founder of the Way to Wellness. I've just had a pleasure getting to know her a little bit. It's my pleasure to bring to Morning Moments Cheryl Farley. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you so much, Andy. It is a blessing to be here. Thank you for the invite. I look forward to spending time with you and all of your followers.
Thank you so much. And let me just ask you the question right away because that title, health minister, is really intriguing. Please tell us, what do you do and why do you do it?
Well, the long and short of it is that my husband and I both were a team. We were introduced to health ministry, I'd say probably, I don't know, 30 plus years ago. But I should back up a little bit before that. So as a child, I lived many years in California with my dad. My dad ran Jack LaLanne's health clubs. So I grew up in and around. In fact, I met Jack LaLanne at the age of 12 and was very inspired by the man. I have to say, he was like the Billy Graham of health. He was a health evangelist, let's say. That was really my introduction to health and wellness. But then many years later, my husband and I began to study and learn more about the importance of what we're putting in our mouths a lot and how it impacts our health, besides exercise, and even going deeper, just teaching healthy habits. And during the course of the last 30 years, we've had the blessing and privilege of working at a wellness center. Actually, that's what brought us to Maine. Was we worked at a Christian wellness center for 2 years. There was a physician we worked under, but I did all the cooking for the health guests and exercise. My husband did what's called hydrotherapy, which is the use of water, hot and cold water, and massage therapy. And we witnessed people coming from all parts of the world that had heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, depression, cancer, autoimmune illness, mental health issues. They would come, disconnect from the world, and we would feed them very healthy food. We would pray with them. We would minister to them, love on them, exercise with them. They'd receive these natural treatments, and they would get better. They would get better and they would go home in recovery. And even while we were there, we got introduced to another health program or health ministry on the West Coast that did these 3-day reversing diabetes seminars. And I worked with them for 9 years. I would fly to different parts of the country. I worked with a phenomenal team of physicians, and I was the cooking instructor. So I taught the cooking classes, and we witnessed people who were at various stage of insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes and type 1. But with type 2, many would lower their blood sugar within 24 hours, so much so that many of them were cutting back on their medications while they were there in that 3-day time frame. If they stayed on course with what we taught them, by the time they got home, I would get emails and letters a month or two later. I'm off all my medications. I have a new life. I'm praising the Lord. So that was the most inspiring experience for Dennis and I, because we realized that the most important thing we possess is our health. The greatest treasure we possess is our health. Health is wealth. You could be the wealthiest person on the planet, and if you don't have your health, what good is it? You know, you could have a big bank account and all of these things, but if you're sick and you're suffering, it doesn't mean much. So that was sort of I would say, the catalyst then for creating the Way to Wellness. And so then fast forward 10 years ago, I was working with a lady who had the idea. She said, Cheryl, I think that we should take what you have, the knowledge and experience, and let's create a program, and we're going to market on national television. So it was actually an infomercial on TV nationwide. And the program, we came up with the idea of the 10-day program, and it sort of was following the model in the book of Daniel when the Israelites were taken into captivity in Babylon. Daniel and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they first were there, they were told, you have to eat this and drink this. Well, they lived back, before, when they were living at home. They said, no, the God that we serve, we really want to honor him. So we don't want to eat those things. We don't want to drink those things. Give us pulse, give us fruits, vegetables, grains, nuts, and seeds, and water. And in 10 days, let's see who's healthier. And so they did that. And after 10 days, you read it in the book of Daniel, they were fairer, they were healthier, they were wiser. And so that was a test, and it was a beautiful testimony about how God's diet really is the best. And so that was the catalyst or the inspiration for our diabetes program, for the 10-day program, which is the Way to Wellness. And so what we did was we ran an ad in the paper, and we said, if you're a diabetic or type 2 diabetic, and you would be interested in lowering your blood sugar naturally and reversing your type 2 diabetes, call this number. So basically, we had people that signed up, and it didn't cost them anything. We gave them our books, our program. It's a 10-day program, and it's also available online. So it's an ebook form. People can download the book and all the videos. And we did this with Dr. Timothy Howe. He's a board certified internist. So they had blood work done at the beginning of the 10 days. They had blood work done at the end of the 10 days. And it was astounding, the results. And it went on national television. So it was really inspiring. People had outstanding results. And so from that, then we had this 10-day program in book form and also in ebook form on our website. But then we started going into churches. We went actually to the Caribbean, and we do seminars. Now we do seminars or workshops. So we go on site. We went to various islands in the Caribbean. And then at the beginning of COVID, we flew to India. And we went to Bangalore, which is the tech capital of India, because diabetes right now, and of course let's say the metabolic syndrome, is a global problem. It is a pandemic. And we realized that, the people that were at the highest risk of dying from COVID were the people with the pre-existing conditions, or the comorbidities, we call that. So we had a burden to go to India. So we did a mission trip to India right at the beginning of COVID. And my daughter was freaking out because she's like, Mom, why are you going on an international trip during a pandemic? And my husband and I we prayed about it. We had just gone through so much. We bought our tickets, we got our visas, and the Lord just impressed us strongly, go. So we did. We went. COVID had not hit India yet. It was really blowing up, obviously, in China and in Europe. And it was just starting on the US, like in Seattle and LA, but it hadn't really hit the US big time either. So we went, we ministered to the people there. We had outstanding results. Again, people, their blood sugars were dropping. We had a man that flew all the way from Singapore to India for this program. But once the program was over, we were doing some sightseeing, and I remember this text or this news thing coming on my phone, and it said, British Airways is banning all flights to the US. And we were like, we got to go. we better leave. We better leave. And the Lord just spoke to us. So we got a one-way ticket back. We still had 5 days left, and we had other engagements planned. We were going to go and do some classes at some restaurants in different places, but we made a decision. Let's go. So we flew back, and Andy, the day after we got home, India went into complete lockdown. So it was like God parted the Red Sea. We crossed, and then he closed it. It was like if we had not listened to the Lord and left when we did, how that would have ended up. But so that is why we do what we do. We love people. We love the Lord. We realize that our health is the most important thing that we have, and that is why we do what we do.
Wow. Uh, You know, I hope that this little interview will inspire you to check out the website that I have down below.
Yes.
Check out the products they have, and the different ministries they're involved with. This is such a short time in a small interview to cover everything. We can't cover everything, but Cheryl's just hopefully giving you a taste of what they do. And I got a feeling I'm going to have Cheryl back. I'd love to have her back on Morning Moments for some follow up and some things like that. We'd love that. And but I want you to check out our website. It's been down below. You've seen some other things about her and her ministries, health ministry. It's wonderful. But follow her, but right now take the time as soon as this interview is over, and pray for Cheryl and her husband, that God would continue to bless them. Cheryl needs your prayers, folks, and you need the practice. So pray that God would richly bless her in her what she does. And thank you, Cheryl, for joining us for Morning Moments.
God bless you, Andy, and thank you so much for what you do. You're doing a wonderful work for the Lord. Thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and God bless you to all of the listeners. And yes, if you're a diabetic, you don't, once a diabetic, not always a diabetic. And there's a saying, genetics may load the gun, but lifestyle is what pulls the trigger. And truly, it's empowering to learn how much you can change the trajectory of your life by improving your health.
Wow. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us for Morning Moments. And if you would keep coming back, and may God richly bless you.